Is it just me, or does it feel like when you put all of these petty squabbles and arguments against what Mary is going through behind the scenes, doesn't it seem a little hollow? Is it just me? What's up, everybody? It's your girl Bonnie Scotch. Thank you so much for clicking on my video today. I wanted to bring you a review for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 5 episode 11. Before we get into the recap, go ahead and hit the like button for me. When you hit the like button, not only is it a free way to support my channel, but it's also a way of letting YouTube know that I'm here and that you all are rocking with my commentary, so YouTube starts to shoot my content out to other viewers just like you, an audience who ordinarily would not get an opportunity to connect with my channel. That being said, I wanted to give a really quick church announcement before I get into the review. I wanted to give some shout outs to some folks who have been in the community spotlight. The community spotlight is basically where YouTube Studio lets us know people who are, frequenting and commenting, interacting with our channel. And so they highlight a few people, but I also want to highlight some people on my own. Okay, so the community spotlight of this week goes to Home 818, Autumn 975, Breton Adon, Raina Gibson, and Devon Parker. I wanted to give my own personal shout outs, including the community spotlight shout outs. So my list is as follows, and this is not in any particular order. Huge shout out to Lauren Jackson 2810, Ayana J 6129, Lynn T 7804, This Cat Rocks, Lil Miss Me, Jen Bunny 1984, Mr. Know-It-All 993, Hot Commodity, XO Sham, Danny Webb 1971, The Saturn Show, Shawnee Forever, K-Mania, Bitter Sweets, Spooky Stoner, Mr. T-Bell 1906, Rocky's Rage, I think that's how you say it, Tracy 8385, Dominican Shouty 89, Holly Won't 447, Black Daria, Dee Dee Hill, J Renee, Callie aka Calendar 28, I think that's how you say it. Listen, y'all know I'm in my auntie era. I might tear up some of y'all's names, but it's all love at the end of the day, okay? Shout out to T Monique 72, The Bell Perspective TV, Apple Charm 9130, The Saucy Sassy, Adama J, God Love Freedom, Benitez Apple Bong, and Brittany Beautiful Black. Okay, so shout out to you all who have been actively contributing to my channel, helping me out in the algorithm. New people and old people are down here in the shout outs. I'm seeing some new names rolling through. I got something like 65, 70 subscribers in the last week, so I am so grateful for you all.
Thank you, 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 thank you.
Bonnie Gang, Scotch Gang, y'all already know what it is. We here, it's love, we live. Let's go ahead and get into this review, okay? Now, we start this episode with Whitney and Heather planning a campfire get-together, Girl Scout style, okay? So the attire is Girl Scouts chic. Heather and Whitney are talking about Mary's dinner party and how everything got really cattywampus. Heather is saying she still doesn't have a good read on Bronwyn and how she doesn't want her getting in the way of her relationships. Heather's issue with Bronwyn is that there's a new, fun, lighthearted, popular girl on the scene. Heather had a really powerful season last year, okay? She's coming down off of taking down Monica. So she wants Bronwyn to bow down and kiss the ring for an invitation into their very precious friendship circle. Heather has morphed into the same cliquey, mean girl from high school that she aspired to be friends with once upon a time. Heather says that she thinks Bronwyn is sneaky and that when she gets up from the table, she doesn't want to have to wonder if people are talking about her. Heather, this is so rich coming from you because you're sneaky. And you run around talking about people behind their back. You're doing the exact same thing that you're accusing Bronwyn of, but you don't see it. I'm just sick of Heather and her haughty attitude and her broad shoulders. Okay, in the next scene, we have Meredith meeting up with Mary. So Meredith invited Mary to a gallery. Meredith says that she is extending an olive branch to Mary. She has it in her twisted up, mangled mind that Mary did something wrong to her, by telling her, be quiet or you can leave my house. So now she's a victim. She's so offended. And it's like, oh, she said that she reached out to Mary first because she figured she'd be the bigger person here. What she doesn't know is that Mary has her own issues, her own ish going on behind the scenes. She has a son, her child, that she is trying to scrape off of the floor right now. And here you are dragging out some old crap from last week about how she put you out because you simply didn't want to be quiet. You were being disrespectful in her house and she asked you to leave. Okay? How you became a victim all of a sudden, I don't understand it. Now, Meredith is the exact type of white woman that scares me. I would never be friends with a woman like Meredith, okay? Because Meredith is going to find any and every situation to be aggrieved, to find something to be offended by, right? People like that are just very dangerous because they can take what happened, they can take an event where several people were there, mind you. It wasn't just her and Mary, so it's Mary's word against Meredith's, right? It was her, along with several other women, along with cameras. We, as the audience, we see exactly what's going on. That you're twisting this into a moment of, oh, I'm so offended. She put me out. I'm a victim. Girl. Ugh. In Meredith's twisted mind, she believes that she is owed an apology in this situation. She never once acknowledges that she is at Mary's party, cutting up, getting loud, yelling at the top of her lungs, walking over to Whitney, snatching phones. I mean, Whitney did snatch the phone first, and Whitney shouldn't have done that. I like that she did it because I didn't care for Meredith in that moment. But that's neither here nor there. But you're doing a lot. You never once addressed that you did a lot in that woman's house. But she's supposed to apologize to you, Meredith? Girl, people like Meredith really scare me. They are scary. People like Meredith, if the outcome wasn't favorable to them, they'll twist and mangle the narrative to suit whatever lie they want people to believe. We saw how she threw out allegations with Sean, questioning his sexuality, and all of a sudden it became, oh, you're talking about my son. She made herself the victim in the situation. I can't believe I used to go up for her so hard. Like, maybe I just was never exposed to this side of Meredith. Like, was she like this the whole time and I just never saw it? Meredith also said that she didn't like how Mary was picking on her. Y'all,
you know what?
I'm just saying, like, the optics of it are crazy. I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything like that, but black people have lost their lives based on a lie that a white woman decided to tell. Maybe that's a part of the reason why it's so triggering for me. Maybe she's done it the whole time, and because she's doing it to Mary, and I can actively see, like, where Mary was trying to settle the situation. I'm really, like, I'm disgusted, y'all. She says that she expected more from Mary because she's been nothing but a friend to her for the past 4 years when everybody else was against her. So now she wants to itemize the friendship and weaponize the fact that she's been a friend to Mary as if Mary hasn't been a friend to her the whole time. That's the implication here. So then in this scene, we see Mary actually going up the stairs to check on her son. You know, she says that she can feel that his presence is absent and she really needs to have a heart-to-heart with him. So Meredith is waiting at the gallery. At this point, Mary shows up about 40 minutes late. Meredith says, I thought you seemed a little out of character, and I'm probably seeming that way as well. Mary says, I've seen you in many people's homes, and I've never seen you conduct yourself in that way. Meredith says, I'm no longer coming to your home. I don't go places I don't feel welcome. Mary says this is not a healthy friendship, and Meredith says that you clearly have been harboring some ill feelings towards me. Again, like, Meredith never takes a moment to stop and say, I was yelling and going bad in this lady's house. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, Mary says you're always the victim. You're no longer welcome at my house. Going back and forth with a person who thinks that you did them wrong for asking them to stop disrespecting your home is like crazy. Meredith says to Mary, I tried to extend an olive branch to you and you showed up an hour late. Mary is like, girl, you know what? I'm out of here. Get a life, girl. Meredith is like, you used me for 3 years. Well, that means that you wanted to be used, Meredith. You were available to be used. And to some degree, in all friendships, in all relationships, we will be used and we will use somebody else. That's the whole point of a relationship. You help me sometimes, I'm going to help you sometimes. So don't sit up here and tell me that you were such a great friend to Mary for all of these years, right? And she's never been a great friend to you, but it's because of this one instance that all of a sudden she's being called out for being a bad friend. I don't like people like Meredith. Mary says Meredith has no idea what I'm going through behind the scenes, and that speaks volumes to the type of friend that she is. And I agree. We have Lisa and Angie together in a scene. They're at the aquarium together. They bring along their kids. They're having this discussion. Lisa starts crying in the middle of the conversation. Meanwhile, she's not really crying, okay? She's just like pulling out her victimhood that she is so good at doing, her and Meredith. And then as soon as Angie starts talking, the cry face isn't there anymore.
And scene for the actress.
So the bottom line of this scene is that Lisa and Angie apologize to each other. Let's just be very clear. Lisa only apologized to Angie because Angie apologized first. Okay, we know how Lisa gets down. The one thing that I did appreciate about this scene, though, is that Angie told her, look, I love you, but I also feel like I need to be treated differently. So I'm really happy that she stood up for herself in this moment. In this next scene, we have Mary packing a bag to go somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where she's going, but she's basically saying how sad she is. She feels as though her baby is slipping away from her. They used to talk a lot every day, and the relationship just is not the same. In the next scene, we have Whitney and Heather setting up their Girl Scout campfire for the gathering with the girls. So all of the women are at the campfire. Mary shows up last. Brittany is here. She's talking about how her and Jared are back together and how she can't stay away from him. And then somehow we get into this conversation about what Mormons consider sex and this whole business about soaking and hot dog buns and what was the other one? Jump pumping. So soaking apparently is when you insert and there's no movement. So Mormons have created all of these loopholes to make, so like they demonize sex on one hand, they demonize it and say it's like a sin and you can't do it until you're married, but this way of doing it is okay, right? So you can soak, which is insert your penis inside someone's vagina and just allow it to sit there, right? I think jump humping is when a third party is involved and they come into the room and jump on the bed and create this friction. Y'all, I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to just leave it alone, child. But religious people and the things that they choose to believe are just very, very interesting. Very interesting bunch of people, okay? So now they're talking about their favorite memories growing up, you know, going to camp and such. Angie is asking Brittany, were you always a practicing Mormon? I'm just curious. You know, I was taken aback when you said to me the other day that you were offended by me bringing you a bottle of wine, and then you turned around and thanked me for bringing you said bottle of wine. Mary is like she's two-faced. How about let's bring back manners and etiquette, like how rude it was the other day when Meredith walked out of my house. Y'all, I rewatched on Peacock. Did y'all see Kenya Moore in the commercial with her daughter for, I can't remember the name of the medication, but it was like some type of migraine medication. So shout out to Kenya Moore and the young diva Brooklyn, honey, okay? Get to the bag, honey. So Brittany starts to speak up. Mary tells her to shut up. Brittany shuts up. Mary explains to Meredith, listen, I was just asking you to be quiet. Mary's like, you don't find it rude that you conducted yourself in that way? And Meredith is like, no. Angie's like, girl, you stormed out and took Mary's gift with you. And everybody started laughing. Whitney is like, well, Meredith is playing the Lisa game. She loves to hold a grudge, aka playing the victim. I said, get her, Whitney. Lisa says, don't lie. Heather, why don't you ask Bronwyn what Whitney says about you? And then Bronwyn is like, yeah, I was surprised that you were planning this campfire trip here with Heather today. Bronwyn, here's my concern about you, baby doll. My concern with you, Bronwyn, is that you don't know how to win. You don't know how to win. You have the upper hand. Don't make an enemy out of Whitney. Like, you can actually make that work for you. And I'm just concerned that you don't know how to win. Let these girls have it out. Heather and Whitney always have their back and forths, their squabbles. You know what I'm saying? We've been watching this show for years. Whitney and Heather are friends. They're cousins. And then they fight. They fall out. And then they get back together. So, Bronwyn, I don't feel like it's your place to be like, oh, I'm surprised you girls are, you know, doing this little campfire get together. It's like, Bronwyn tells Heather, you know, Whitney thinks that you won't have her back because you want to maintain your friendship with Lisa. Pretty much what we've all been saying. Heather says, well, those are her feelings. And Whitney says that this is frustrating because I'm really trying to give Bronwyn a chance here. Y'all, I'm going to be honest. This scene was just really dense with conflict. I don't have it in me to go through all of the petty little squabbles, okay? It went on for some time. Mary starts packing Lisa up, calling her out for being tacky and wearing that tacky jumpsuit to her party. Lisa starts name dropping. Oh, I was at the fashion show with Sarah Jessica Parker and this and that person. Girl, nobody cares. So in the next scene, we have Meredith having a gathering for Shabbat. Heather is there. Brittany shows up with Jared. Bronwyn and her husband come in. Bronwyn awkwardly introduces him to Brittany and Heather. So then they get into this conversation about, you know, who's Jewish and this and that side of the family. And then Todd mentions, you know, speaking of genealogy and ancestry, I did a background check on Bronwyn. And in Heather's confessional, she is taking so much delight and so much glee in the fact that Todd ran a background check on Bronwyn. And she's like, oh, this isn't the fairy tale that you were expecting to hear, darling. Who does that? Heather, what happened to your fairy tale? What happened in your divorce? What happened in your marriage? Was it a fairy tale, darling? Heather she's so annoying to me. So then they get into this conversation about how much of a disaster the campfire was. And Bronwyn is saying, look, I think everybody talks shit about everybody. And when you're in a good space with somebody, everything is cute and fun and sassy. But when you're in a bad space with somebody, the emotions just seem that more heightened. And she's like, I can be a snarky bitch sometimes. And then Todd is like, don't say that. Don't say that. I would have turned to him and said, you ain't my real daddy anyway. Who are you talking to? You think you somebody's daddy up in this motherfucker? Talking about don't say that. Do you think you're her father? And then in the last episode, I was so upset because Bronwyn is like, oh, I just don't want to disappoint him. Like, girl, stand up. Maybe it's because I like Bronwyn and I see more for her and I want her to come out from under this man's thumb. It's a wonder. It's amazing to me because this is what we're seeing on camera. This is what we're seeing in public. If he chastises her like that in public, imagine what it is like behind closed doors. That Bronwyn can still get out here, get on TV, and still be the star that she is and still shine in the way that she does, even though she obviously has a man trying to dim her out. We talk about this as an audience, right? How these women come onto these shows to leave their men, right? To divorce their man. It's their way of starting the divorce proceeding because it's a smart way to document what's going on in the marriage. And also, when it's documented, it can no longer be denied. See, now it's not just us in this relationship. Now we have a third party. Now the third party is us, the audience. Now we are privy to what's going on. Now we're involved. Now we have opinions and thoughts and things. We're going to point out the inconsistencies. And we're going to point out the flaws. And it's going to get to the point where you can no longer ignore it. And then you can just take it on to your divorce lawyer and do what you need to do. Shout out to Bronwyn. She doesn't have a prenup, so obviously it would benefit her. If this is her way of getting out of her marriage, I think that it's a great idea. and it's a great way to, you know, exit stage left. Meredith is talking about her issue with Mary again, wondering if there's something bigger going on because Mary's behavior seems out of character. Brittany says maybe we should give Mary a little bit of grace because it does seem like she has something going on. And we immediately cut to, you know, the scene at Mary's house. And y'all, this scene broke my heart. This is the second week in a row that Salt Lake City had me in here boo-hooing, crying, weeping. So Mary is in Robert Jr.'s room. She's like, what's been going on? Robert tells her that he's been mixing Xanax and Adderall. He says he feels like life is like chicken without seasoning, and when he's on drugs, he doesn't feel like that anymore. Mary asked him, when did you start? He said that he was 16. He went to a party. Somebody gave him a Xanax, and, you know, it was all downhill after that. Afterwards, he started buying it. Now, for context, he is 21 years old. So we learned he started doing Xanax with acid. He started mixing it with Molly. He started mixing it with cocaine. He was just mixing it with all of his drugs. He said that he was taking 10 at once and he couldn't even feel it. This is when Mary starts breaking down and crying. Y'all, Mary in this moment is no longer a reality TV star to me. She is a mother. She is a mom. This is a mother and her child. Mary tells him, you're so blessed and you're so fortunate. Do you know how many people didn't wake up today and you're getting high? Now, Mary is blaming herself here. She's looking at her son's issue through a very narrow lens. What he's dealing with is a deep amount of pain and trauma, and people with these kinds of addictions where they feel like they need to escape. You know, that escapism tells you pretty much everything that you need to know, right? It's not personal. It's not a thing of where they're comparing their life to other people and saying, oh, well, you know, their life is so shitty. Mine compared is so great. No, people have their problems that they need to deal with. And they shouldn't be minimized just because somebody else's problems are bigger than them. You know, I hated the whole like, oh, well, you don't want to eat that. It's kids starving in Africa. Like, it's kids starving everywhere. It's kids starving in America right now. Like, what? Like, what does one have to do with the other? I don't want to eat this plate of corned beef and rice. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I grew up in a Caribbean household. Y'all that are Caribbean, y'all know that corned beef and rice, you know, with the chopped onions and whatever side vegetable was the staple. But I never liked corned beef and rice. Listen, and I'm not about to tussle with y'all about it either, okay? I don't like corned beef. I don't like plantain. I don't like avocado. Listen, the stuff that I don't like, y'all be like, girl, get out of my face. But anyway, I just don't think that Robert Jr.'s problem should be minimized because other people have it, quote unquote, you know, harder than him. I think it's just so dismissive of what somebody is going through. And I feel like, no shade to Mary or Christians, I feel like that's the Christian way, right? It's brushing things off. Oh, you're so fortunate. You're so da-da-da-da-da. You shouldn't be depressed. You have all of this money. You live in a nice house. People have real problems. And that's not to say that the parent is to blame in every situation, right? There are things that happen outside of the parent's control that sometimes they don't know about. These deeply traumatizing events. And now your baby got to deal with that for the rest of their life. And then you take that on. You blame yourself instead of figuring out, okay, how can we get you the help that you need without personalizing it? Robert Jr. says that he wanted to die. Mary says that would kill me. And he says, I just felt like a stain. And the only reason that I stayed here is because of you. I felt like this world wasn't for me. Baby, when Mary said, you're my son, you're my friend, you're my gift, and I was never happy until you were born, I think at that point I had just lost it. She said, you were everything I hoped for in a person. Says you were everything I hoped for in a person. And he says, I just barely started being happy again. I cried both times that I watched. Yeah, y'all, this is some of the realest shit that I have seen on Housewives. We've had some real moments over the years, but I really felt for Mary in this moment. And, you know, I pray that she and Robert Jr. can find peace. I pray that he can find, you know, the help that he needs. I don't think any parent wants to watch their child go through this type of pain. So I just pray that Robert Jr. gets the help that he needs. But anyway, y'all, that was the episode. Go ahead and drop down in the comments with me. Let me know how you felt about this episode. Doesn't it just feel like everything is so petty when you put it up against what Mary is going through? Like, Meredith, I don't give a shit about you feeling some type of way about Mary putting your ass out, which she really didn't do. She was telling you and Angie, be quiet or you can leave. It was either or. She gave you the option and then you chose your choice. Hello. Anyway, y'all, get down in the comments with me. You know I want to hear from you. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting. And I will see y'all for the next one. Peace, y'all. We need to go have a drink. Okay? I'll see y'all for the next one. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's something about this girl, man. From around my way. Ever try to hold back your feelings?